Flow with life or fight forever. Powerful, isn't it? But here's the thing, it's not just a catchy phrase. It's a wake-up call. If you're exhausted from pushing, forcing, and fighting through life, it's time to stop. Lao Tzu, the great sage of ancient China, left us the blueprint for a better way. The art of not trying, a wisdom that's more relevant now than ever. Think about this. The more you force something, the harder it becomes. Ever tried chasing success, only to watch it slip further away? Or held on to a relationship so tightly that it broke? That's the problem. Life doesn't respond well to force. It responds to flow. And here's the good news, you can master the art of flowing. In this video, we'll dive deep into Lao Tzu's timeless lessons, how to act with effortless power, find peace in chaos, and align with life's natural rhythm. You'll learn how to let go of resistance, simplify your life, and stop fighting against yourself. Sounds like freedom, right? So if you're ready to stop swimming upstream and start moving with life, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, this journey will change the way you live, and it all starts now. Lesson 1. What is Wu Wei? Lao Tzu, the ancient sage of the Tao, left us a concept so powerful and yet so misunderstood that it could change the way you live. Wu Wei. Now, before you think this is just another philosophical buzzword, let me tell you, this isn't about sitting on the couch and doing nothing. Wu Wei, at its heart, is the art of effortless action, acting in a way that aligns with a natural flow of life instead of fighting against it. Imagine this. You're in a river. You can swim against the current, exhausting yourself, or you can relax, let the water guide you, and make progress with less effort. That's Wu Wei. It's not an action. It's intentional, mindful action that comes naturally and smoothly, like a master artist who paints effortlessly or a seasoned musician who plays without thinking. They've stopped forcing, and they flow. Think about your own life. How often do you push for things that clearly resist you? A job you hate but try harder to keep. A relationship you force because you're afraid to let go. Or even those days when you overthink a problem and get nowhere. Sound familiar? Lao Tzu would say, stop trying so hard. Let go and see what happens. Take nature as an example. It's Wu Wei in motion. The sun doesn't rush to rise, yet it lights up the whole world. Trees don't strain to grow. They just grow. And water is the true master of Wu Wei. It adapts to every obstacle, flows around it, and over time, shapes mountains without force. What if you adopted that mindset? What if, instead of forcing outcomes, you trusted the process, aligned with your environment, and allowed life to unfold? Here's something you could try. The next time you face resistance, be it an argument, a tough decision, or a personal goal, pause. Instead of pushing harder, ask yourself, what's the path of least resistance here? What action feels natural and right? Sometimes stepping back lets the right solution step forward. Wu Wei isn't about being lazy. It's about being wise. It's understanding that the universe has a flow, and when you align with it, you move further, faster, and with far less struggle. And here's the kicker, there's always more to learn about the art of flowing. Because if you think Wu Wei stops here, you haven't seen what Lao Tzu has in store for you next. Lesson 2. Flow like water. If there's one image that perfectly captures Lao Tzu's wisdom, it's water. Simple, humble, and yet unmatched in power, water is the ultimate teacher of flow. Think about it, water never resists, it adapts. It flows around obstacles, overcomes barriers, and with enough time, even wears down stone. It doesn't force its way through. It finds the path of least resistance and keeps moving. Here's where it gets interesting. What if you could be like water in your own life? Lao Tzu wasn't just talking about rivers and streams. He was teaching us how to approach challenges with fluidity instead of force. You know those moments when life throws you a curveball, and your first instinct is to fight it? That's resistance. Water doesn't resist. It doesn't panic. It simply flows around a problem and keeps going. Picture a tough situation at work. Maybe a coworker undermines you, or a project falls apart despite your best efforts. You have two choices. You can push harder, get frustrated, and burn yourself out, or you can pause, breathe, and ask, how can I flow through this? Maybe you take a different approach, adjust your attitude, or redirect your energy to something more productive. Here's a real-world example. Have you ever heard of Bruce Lee's famous line, "Be water, my friend"? It's no coincidence. Lee was deeply inspired by Lao Tzu's teachings. He used the idea of water to train himself in martial arts, remaining adaptable, calm, and fluid, never rigid. And when life threw its punches outside the ring, he approached it the same way. Think about water again. It's soft, yet nothing in the world is stronger. It flows gently, but it can carve through mountains. Why? Because it doesn't fight, it adapts. If you take this lesson to heart, you'll realize something powerful. Resistance is your enemy, but flow is your superpower. So, the next time you face an obstacle, remember this. Be like water. Adjust, adapt, and keep moving forward without wasting energy on resistance. Life's challenges don't need you to fight them. They need you to flow with them. And once you start flowing, you'll see just how powerful non-resistance can be. But what happens when effort itself becomes the problem? Lao Tzu has an answer for that too. Lesson 3. The power of non-force. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Forcing things rarely works. When you push too hard, at work, in relationships, or even with yourself, you often end up with the opposite result. Lao Tzu understood this deeply. He taught that the more you force, the more resistance you create. It's like trying to hold sand in a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the more it slips away. Think about it. Have you ever chased an outcome so desperately that it slipped further and further from your reach? Maybe you were grinding at a job, constantly overworking, but the promotion never came. Or you tried to fix a relationship by demanding change, only to make things worse. Why? Because force breeds resistance. People, situations, and even life itself don't respond well to pressure. Lao Tzu's wisdom flips this on its head. Instead of brute effort, he teaches the power of non-force, an approach where you act without strain, where your energy aligns with the moment. Imagine trying to open a jammed door. Most people would push harder, frustrated. But sometimes, all it takes is a gentle wiggle of the handle or a step back to find a new angle. That's non-force in action. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're working on a personal project, a new business, a creative pursuit, or even fitness goals. Instead of obsessing over the outcome and forcing progress, ask yourself, what's the next natural step I can take? How can I let this unfold without straining? Maybe it's setting a small, achievable goal today, instead of worrying about the entire picture. Maybe it's letting inspiration come to you rather than squeezing it out. This idea isn't about being passive. It's about being effective. Non-force doesn't mean you stop acting. It means you act in alignment with the situation, not against it. Like a master chess player, you move with intention, not panic. You pick your moments and actions carefully, trusting that progress doesn't require struggle. Here's the key takeaway. When you let go of force, you create space for solutions to appear. It's like loosening your grip on the wheel during a skid. Counterintuitive, but exactly what you need to regain control. And here's the magic. Once you master non-force, you'll start noticing how much energy you save, how much smoother life becomes, and how results flow to you naturally. But to make this wisdom work, you need to trust the process, and that's where acceptance comes in next. Lesson 4. Acceptance and trust in the process. Here's a secret most people ignore. You can't control everything. No matter how hard you try, life has its own rhythm, its own timing, and its own outcomes. Lao Tzu's wisdom teaches that the key to peace and progress is acceptance. Accepting what is, trusting what's to come, and letting go of what you can't control. Sounds simple, right? But here's the catch. Most people fight reality every single day. You know those moments when things don't go your way? Maybe you missed a big opportunity, your plans fell apart, or someone let you down. The natural instinct is to resist, to blame, to force a different outcome. But resistance doesn't change reality, it just drains you. Lao Tzu would tell you to pause, take a breath, and ask, what if I accepted this as it is? What if I trusted that life is unfolding exactly as it should? Let's put this into perspective. Ever heard the phrase, what's meant for you won't miss you? It's a modern echo of Lao Tzu's teachings. When you trust the process, you stop panicking over missed chances or closed doors. Instead, you believe that if something isn't working, it's because something better is waiting. Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time you're stuck in traffic, stressed about being late, or frustrated over a canceled plan, remind yourself, I can't change this, but I can choose my response. Instead of fuming, use the time to reflect, breathe, or enjoy a podcast you've been meaning to hear. That's acceptance in action. And what about bigger life challenges? Losing a job, facing rejection, or hitting a personal setback, these moments test your ability to trust the process. But think of it like planting seeds. You don't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. You water them, you nurture them, and you trust that, given time, they'll bloom. Life works the same way. Lao Tzu's teaching is clear. When you accept what you can't control, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. You move with life, not against it. And here's the beautiful part. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of resistance and creating space for new opportunities. Trusting the process takes courage, but it's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So stop forcing outcomes, accept the moment, and let life guide you. Because when you trust, you'll start to see that life has a way of working out in its own perfect time. But if you're wondering how to simplify all this and live with clarity, Lao Tzu has another lesson for you, the power of simplicity. Lesson 5. Simplicity is the path. Here's a question for you. Why do we make life so complicated? Lao Tzu believed that simplicity is the ultimate form of wisdom. Strip away the noise, the distractions, the endless striving, and you're left with what truly matters. Yet, in today's world, simplicity feels almost radical, doesn't it? We're taught to chase more money, more success, more possessions, but at what cost? Lao Tzu's wisdom invites us to do the opposite. Simplify. Why? Because simplicity brings clarity. It removes the unnecessary and leaves room for what's essential. Think of it this way. When you clean out a cluttered room, doesn't it feel lighter? Doesn't the space breathe? Your life works the same way. The less you carry, the more you can focus on what actually brings peace and joy. Take a moment and think about your daily routine. Is it filled with things you have to do, but don't really need? Maybe you're overcommitting to social events, endlessly scrolling on your phone, or spending money on things that don't add value to your life. Lao Tzu's advice would be simple: let it go. Simplify your commitments, your environment, and even your thoughts. Here's a practical step. Start with one area of your life. Maybe it's your schedule. Cut out one thing that doesn't serve you. Or your home. Clear out a drawer, a closet, or that garage you've been avoiding. Simplifying physically often creates mental clarity too. As the saying goes, less is more. And Lao Tzu would agree. Having fewer distractions gives you more space for calm and focus. And what about your mind? Simplicity applies there too. Most of our stress comes from overthinking, endless worries, to-do lists, and what-ifs. Lao Tzu teaches us to quiet the noise. Spend a few moments each day in silence. Step away from the chaos and breathe. Meditation, journaling, or even a walk in nature can help you reconnect with that quiet space within you. Simplicity isn't about deprivation, it's about freedom. It's choosing to focus on what matters most and letting go of everything else. And the best part, the more you simplify, the clearer life becomes. Decisions feel easier, stress fades, and you realize how little you actually need to feel content. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what can I simplify? What can I let go of? You'll be amazed at how light life can feel when you stop carrying the unnecessary. But here's the thing, simplicity doesn't just mean letting go of clutter. It also means letting go of the constant fight against yourself. And that's where Lao Tzu's next lesson comes in. Lesson 6. Stop fighting against yourself. Here's a hard truth. Most of us are our own worst enemies. We set impossible expectations, criticize ourselves relentlessly, and push ourselves into battles we were never meant to fight. Lao Tzu, with his quiet wisdom, teaches us something powerful. Stop fighting against yourself. Accept who you are, work with what you have, and let go of the constant inner struggle. Think about it. How often do you compare yourself to others, wishing you were smarter, more successful, or further ahead? Or maybe you constantly beat yourself up over mistakes, replaying them in your mind like a broken record. That inner resistance drains your energy and keeps you stuck. Lao Tzu would say, why fight yourself? Flow with yourself. Let's look at nature for a moment. Again, one of Lao Tzu's favorite teachers. A tree doesn't wish it were a flower. A river doesn't fight to be the ocean. Everything in nature accepts its form and purpose and thrives within it. Imagine if you did the same. What if you stopped criticizing your weaknesses and started leaning into your strengths? Here's something practical you can try. Write down your top 3 strengths. Yes, everyone has them. Maybe you're a great listener, a problem solver, or someone who can always lighten the mood. Instead of obsessing over what you're not, ask yourself, how can I use what I already have to make progress? Self-acceptance is the first step to ending the fight against yourself. And when it comes to mistakes, Lao Tzu teaches that they're not failures, they're lessons. When water hits a rock, it doesn't stop flowing, it adjusts its path. The same applies to you. Made a wrong decision, learn from it, flow around it, and keep moving forward. There's no need for self-punishment. Here's another tip. Stop chasing perfection. Perfection is an illusion that leads to endless struggle. Instead, aim for progress. Small steps, consistent effort, and self-compassion, that's how you grow without the fight. At the end of the day, life is challenging enough without you being at war with yourself. Lao Tzu's wisdom reminds us that when we let go of resistance and embrace who we are, we unlock our true potential. It's about flowing with yourself, not against yourself. And when you master this, something amazing happens. You find peace. But how do you act from that place of calm and clarity? That's where Lao Tzu's next lesson reveals the secret of inner stillness in action. Lesson 7. Inner stillness in action. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of chaos, deadlines, endless notifications, people demanding your attention, and yet you're calm. Not passive. Not frozen. Calm. This is what Lao Tzu calls inner stillness in action, a state where you act, but from a place of peace, clarity, and centeredness. Sound impossible? It's not. In fact, it might be the most powerful lesson of all. Think about a storm. The wind roars, the rain pours, but at the center, the eye of the storm, there's silence. That's what Lao Tzu wants you to cultivate within yourself, the ability to stay still on the inside, even when life is spinning out of control on the outside. It's this inner stillness that allows you to act wisely, effectively, and without being overwhelmed. Here's the thing. Most people react to life from a place of panic or pressure. They make rushed decisions, act out of fear, or get swept away by emotions. But Lao Tzu's wisdom teaches us something different. True strength comes from stillness. When you're calm inside, you can see clearly. You can respond instead of reacting. Here's a practical way to try this out. The next time you're in a stressful situation, maybe a heated argument, an unexpected problem at work, or even a moment of personal doubt, pause. Breathe. Give yourself a moment of stillness before you respond. Ask yourself, what's the wisest action I can take here? You'll be amazed at how much clarity you gain just by stepping back for a moment. Think of a great leader or mentor you admire. What makes them effective? Chances are, it's not because they rush or react impulsively. It's because they act from a place of calm confidence. That's what inner stillness gives you. It's like having a steady hand while navigating rough waters. You're still moving, still acting, but with control and purpose. Here's another tip. Build stillness into your daily life. Meditate for 5 minutes in the morning. Spend a few moments in silence during your lunch break. Go for a walk without your phone. These small practices create the space you need to carry that calm into your actions. Lao Tzu understood that life will always bring storms. You can't control that, but you can control how you respond. And when you act from a place of stillness, you become unshakable. But what happens when life's chaos isn't just external? When it's the modern world itself, always pushing you to rush and force? That's where Lao Tzu's wisdom meets your everyday reality in the next lesson, applying Wu Wei in modern life. Lesson 8. Wu Wei in modern life. Let's face it, life today is nothing like it was in Lao Tzu's time. The modern world is loud, chaotic, and always on. You're bombarded with messages like hustle harder, grind 24/7, and push to succeed. But here's the truth. The more you force, the more you burn out. Lao Tzu's ancient wisdom, Wu Wei, the art of non-effort, has never been more relevant than it is today. But how do you apply something like Wu Wei in a world that glorifies busyness? Simple, by learning to align, not force. Think of your life as a dance, not a battle. Wu Wei isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the right things at the right time with flow, not frustration. Here's a practical example. Let's talk about your workday. Do you ever sit at your desk staring at the screen, forcing yourself to be productive even though your brain feels fried? That's not flow. That's resistance. Instead, apply Wu Wei. Step away for 10 minutes. Take a walk, drink some water, or meditate. When you return, you'll often find that the solution you were forcing comes naturally. Or take decision-making. Ever agonized over a choice, overthinking it to death? Wu Wei teaches you to trust your intuition and the flow of life. Sometimes the best decision is to stop overanalyzing and let the right answer come to you. Lao Tzu knew that clarity often comes when you step back, not when you force yourself to figure it out. Another place where Wu Wei shines? Relationships. Stop forcing people to change. Stop pushing for connections that feel unnatural. When you let relationships flow, giving others space to be themselves, you'll find deeper bonds forming without effort. It's like water. It finds its level naturally. Here's a tip you can use today. The next time you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated, pause and ask yourself, am I forcing this? How can I flow instead? Maybe it's changing your approach, giving the problem time, or simply letting go of control. Wu Wei doesn't mean you stop acting. It means you stop overacting. In today's world, the idea of non-effort might seem counterintuitive. But think about the last time you were in the zone, whether at work, in a hobby, or having a deep conversation. Time disappeared, and things just clicked, right? That's Wu Wei in action. You weren't forcing, you were flowing. So take this lesson with you. Stop chasing, stop pushing, and start aligning. Life doesn't have to feel like a constant fight. When you embrace Wu Wei, even the busiest modern life can feel lighter, smoother, and more fulfilling. And here's the best part. When you flow with life, you often end up achieving far more than when you push against it. But before you can fully embrace this mindset, there's one final key Lao Tzu wants you to unlock. Now that you've learned Lao Tzu's timeless lessons, here's the challenge. Are you ready to flow with life instead of fighting it? Ask yourself, how much of your energy has been wasted on forcing what doesn't fit? How often have you resisted the flow, only to find yourself more frustrated and stuck? The truth is, life doesn't have to be a constant battle. By embracing the art of not trying, you open the door to a calmer, more purposeful way of living. So start small. Look for opportunities to simplify, to pause, and to act without forcing. What area of your life can you let go of control and trust the process instead? Let me know in the comments, where do you need to stop resisting and start flowing? I want to hear about it. Your journey matters, and sharing it might inspire someone else to find their flow. If you've enjoyed these insights, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. There's so much more wisdom waiting for you, and you won't want to miss it. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into Lao Tzu's teachings, I highly recommend grabbing a copy of the Tao Te Ching. It's a small book, but its lessons are life-changing. It's incredibly affordable on Amazon, and you'll find the link in the first pinned comment. Thank you for watching and for being part of this journey. If you're ready to keep learning and growing, click on the card right here to watch the next video. Until next time, remember, flow with life or fight forever. The choice is yours.